Shoot 360 Louisville, welcome back to the Unlock Your Game podcast presented by Shoot 360 Louisville. Coach Blake, we are rolling into episode 18 now. It's crazy that we've come this far for us. 18 episodes. It's a lot of time, a lot of hard work. So we're excited to continue to keep growing and have some quality conversation today, kind of closing up the basketball season.
Yeah, the gym's evolving, the podcast is evolving a little bit. So I think we're basically hit about a year in right now. So we've kind of seen a lot of changes. We've got just finished up that Nike basketball camp, our
That's right.
first one,
Right.
getting up past the spring break, getting ready to wrap up the school year, and then get into some more Nike basketball camps. So it's a good time here in the gym.
No, for sure. And we're just continuing to grow. And for those who don't know, we've got our Ref Junkies League coming up this summer. That'll be our first official 5-on-5 league. Just some details for it. We've got the Ref Junkies organization. They're bringing in officials who need training and just need to log some games and hours, and they'll be officiating our games. We'll have 3 different age divisions, 4 teams per age division running from elementary to middle school. And it's just an exciting time. We've got a lot of new stuff coming in the gym. And, we get to be able to express that on here, but also just talk about basketball and continue to grow in that and just keep people updated on what's going on. And, I know everybody loves Coach Will and Coach Blake's opinions on the state of basketball. So we're gonna keep talking about it.
Yeah, going into the Ref Junkies, shout out to Louisville Cardinal legend Bozak Smith over there with Ref Junkies.
100%, 100%. It's been a lot of fun collaborating with them, and we're almost halfway full already for the league. So
Dang.
people better get to it. Better get to
Yeah,
it.
for sure. But all right, Coach Will, let's what are we getting into on today's podcast?
So we've officially closed on the college basketball season. If you haven't listened to our last podcast, we did a lot of transfer portal talk, a lot of Final Four talk, what we kind of saw and noticed the trends and where that's moving. So go give that a listen. But today we'll be kind of talking about those end of season awards, what we kind of think about them. Another Duke player winning a national player of the year. There must be some sort of collusion there. There has to be. No, but no, those guys are just really good. And then another UConn women's basketball player winning a player of the year. So they're obviously doing stuff right. But
Some things
we'll
just never change, huh?
Yeah, we'll just be breaking down those end of season awards today, Coach Blake, and just having some good quality conversation and closing out that college basketball season.
Yeah, we had our mid-season awards for both NBA and college. So now we've hit the end of the college year. We'll hit those end-of-year awards of kind of how everything panned out to where we thought they were at the beginning. And as soon as the NBA wraps up, I'm sure we'll get into those awards as well.
Yeah, 100%. And just kind of starting with that player of the year, I know when we talked about in December or January about it, Cam Boozer was at the top of the list, and he stayed at the top of the list. I mean, just what a extremely special season he had as a freshman in a season dominated by a bunch of older guys, which we felt like we were really trending in the direction of that's not what we could say anymore. You felt like that was going to be integrated. We were going to get older. And whether teams are older or not is, that's a question or a conversation to have. But young guys still reign supreme. That's back-to-back years, true freshman winning player of the year in a time where age is valued, experience is valued. And it's funny to see. But he had an incredible season. I mean, there's not much else you can say. He was just dominant.
That entire freshman class, like there was, I guess, at a time it was sort of close with Boozer, you had Debansa, like those guys were kind of going neck and neck. But as just the season went on, like Duke was dominating so much. And I guess, I mean, you could put Debansa on Duke, and I'm sure he's going to do a lot of insane things. But it's like anytime they needed a bucket, especially in the tournament, it's like there's that meme of just somebody trying to back down, like that guy just trying to back down a bulldozer. Like that's basically Boozer. He's tremendous on the defensive side, and he's just going to blow through your chest and score every time, and you can't stop him.
Well, and that's what we talked about a couple episodes ago, where it was just the integration of the size and how much that's being valued in college basketball, and those are the guys who are dominating. Looking at your Axel Lindenborgs, your AJ Debances, those guys who are just big and can do all three things: shoot the three, hit the mid range, finish at the rim. And they all do it in extremely different ways. Devance is a lot more athletic, finishing over top of you. You got Axel Lindenborg literally just putting his shoulder through your chest. And I would say that Cam Boozer is kind of the complement of both of them. He does it uh, at every facet, and obviously that's why he's Player of the Year. I don't know if you had seen this. He was 22, 10, and 4 for the season. 22
It's
points a game, 10
unbelievable.
rebounds. He averaged a double-double in college basketball. I don't know that people really understand. Like, that is
That's
insane.
insane.
That's insane. And to do it, this isn't a big. Like, this is a small forward, and the NBA could play shooting guard. Like, this is a kid it's unbelievable. But it's just a testament to the knowledge that his dad has, and his experience, and then you know God blessed him a little bit more than his brother with his size and his abilities. But I think it's just super cool to see that he had a fantastic year. Duke fell a little bit short than what they would have liked.
I mean, that's a heartbreaker.
It is.
That's a
It's a heartbreaker.
heartbreaker. 2 years in a row.
100%. But I think with John Shire being so early in his career, he'll learn from those. They'll bounce back, and it's Duke basketball, so it's going to be hard for them to ever really fail, to be honest. But now we're seeing, I feel like we all would have said the same thing about Kentucky basketball or North Carolina, and those teams are struggling. And I'm sure at some point people would have said the same thing about Louisville, but we'll avoid those conversations because they're a little too close to the heart. But that's okay. We're going to bounce back next year.
Hey, that's right. You get Flory freaking Badunga. You bet we're gonna bounce back.
That's right. That's right. And then got the kid from Iowa, and
Alvaro Fulgaris.
that's right, 6'10", big, and you can
Better
see the
get out.
trend that we're going
If
for.
you're under that rim, you better watch out because he's
Wooley's going to be the shortest guy on our team this upcoming season. So
I think Shellstead's about 6'1".
Okay.
Yeah, he's about 6'1", 170. He's a pretty, like, he doesn't look 6'1". He's super long, and it's like he plays a lot bigger than he actually is.
Okay. All right. So maybe they're lying on this thing. No, but yeah, just Player of the Year, men's college basketball. Congratulations to Cam Boozer. We had a list of guys, and it just that's who it was. Now, kind of pivoting over to our women's season, we had a list of girls, and to be honest, I don't think Sarah Strong was on that list, and if she was, we did not talk about her all that much.
I talk about Audie Crooks, and what do you know? Before we can even get a next episode out, I think they played that night in Iowa State. Wheels fall off. What do you know? Next thing you see, she's in the transfer portal going to like Oklahoma State. So that's my fault, Audie.
Yeah, well, you can take the blame, put it
That's
on
my fault.
The podcast at Shoot 360 Louisville. It's just a testament to UConn and Gino and what they do up there, and the dominance and how that all ended in the season for them. They're in another national championship game. They were undefeated, and you got to tip your cap to Sarah Strong and the season that she had. And she was dominant last year as a freshman, and just came back her sophomore year and said, you know what, I'm gonna make it count. I'm gonna go win it again. And with how women's basketball is set up, she'll be back again next year, and we'll see what she does again. I would assume a repeat, and I'm gonna say UConn probably wins it all. They got a little chip on their shoulder, and they'll be back ready for more.
Yeah, I know that time when we were talking about the midseason awards, we really talked about Hannah Hidalgo, and she basically not carried Notre Dame, but they made a deep tournament run just because of how good she was.
I think carry is an understatement. I think she put the backpack on and threw about however many weights and dumbbells and whatever and carried it all the way
going
to
for that David Goggins run.
Yeah, Notre Dame had no business. No offense, fantastic women's program. No business being in the Elite Eight, none whatsoever. And Hannah Hidalgo is that special of a player, and I know that she actually entered the transfer portal, I believe,
She did. If
She
so,
did.
hey, Louisville, let's hit
So
that up. Hold on.
I think we missed out. I believe TCU. I believe. Don't hold me to that, but I'm looking right now. But uh, yeah, I mean, just an incredible season. And if her team was a little bit more competitive in the regular season,
Oh, she's returned. She
uh,
returned.
she is okay. She's coming back. Sweet. Well, that's. I mean, hey, holding on to your legacy. Let's just go ahead and rack it up. Have the most assists,
Let's get some
steals,
talent
points.
around her now. You know what
Yeah.
you
Oh,
got.
for
It's
sure.
not. It's not.
Yeah, and you'd have to think that next year, as Sarah Strong returning, but Hannah Hidalgo, if Notre Dame can have a team that's really competitive, you'd have to that award would have to go to her. I don't know who else it would go to. I mean,
She
she's
if
just
she keeps that up,
she
yeah,
does
she has
everything.
to.
Like you
Yeah.
want to talk about being insane. We were talking about Cameron Boozer.
She's the best offensive and defensive player on the floor
You
at all
don't want
times.
these stats because it just 25, 7, 5, and 6 steals a game.
6 steals a game.
And she shoots just under 50% from the field. 3-point percentage isn't fantastic. It's a 25%. That's, it's a little bit below average,
Yeah, but
but
imagine scoring 25 points a game and not
yeah.
really even shooting from
And
3.
83% field goal percentage or free throw percentage. Like it's great splits, great player, hustles, does all the right things. I'm excited to see what she can do at Notre Dame next year. And I mean, just the players this year overall as a whole in college basketball. I mean, this has got to be one of the more, I don't want to say talented because that's not going to show in the draft room, but I want to say just a more complete and balanced college basketball season on both sides. You're going to see players who might not transfer to the NBA because that's just a whole different conversation and level. But I feel like we have just seen dominant players all across the board who are either coming back or will be really, really good overseas professionals. And I just a testament to where basketball is trending. Yeah, you have the transfer portal and the negatives that people talk about with that, or the positives. But I think basketball as a whole is just in a good place. Everyone's competitive. There's access to everybody now as well. So like it's just in a great place. And hopefully when we're having this conversation again, we can see a Sarah Strong or a Hidalgo or for the men's, we really won't know. But also some new names that pop up. So that'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, the state of college basketball, like this past year in the tournament, I mean, it was an incredible product. And you talk about like the draft room is going to be dominated by freshmen, and that's kind of different than what it's been in the past. Like, not overseas players have basically dominated the top of the draft in the past few years. I mean, Cooper Flagg was the first number 1 pick from America in a while, and then you've got all these freshmen. Like we're going to have one this year. I think the first overseas player was like there's only like one projected in the top 10, and
Wow.
that's you look at the past years, like that's insane because the past few years it's been just completely dominated by overseas talent.
But you know what's crazy? I think it's really different too with the draft process. Like a kid like the freshman who was at Virginia Tech.
Oh,
I feel like
the guy from Greece.
yes, I feel like 5 years ago, he's a top 15 pick. You're not even considering entering the portal. You're just going to the draft. You're getting drafted. There is no staying in college. There is no finding a new home. The kid from Iowa State, there's no finding a new home. Like those guys go to the draft. Those are
Yeah.
draft guys. You go get drafted and you take up all those slots, but they're coming back because they know they were late second round or
I
early
mean,
second round.
there's some too. Like how from Florida, he was projected to be a top 15 pick, and he's coming back to college.
The
And there
money's
was
guaranteed.
yeah, and then there was one other I can't remember, but it's like if you're getting paid $5 million for 1 year in college instead of making $2 million for a couple of years on your rookie contract, like, and you're just going to increase your draft value. I mean,
Do you think with the expansion, there's a conversation of maybe moving to 3 rounds in the NBA draft?
I don't know. Just because they're gonna have to figure out the tank. Because yes, there's more talent than ever, but the league is also more uncompetitive than ever. So they're gonna have to figure that part out. Because I don't know if you add 3 rounds. But it's gonna be
Yeah,
good
but
just get shaking up the league because if you look at Oklahoma City, for example, or like some of the way that the Utah Jazz are trying to build, like you're only able to cap, I think, 7 players on your roster. So right there, that's gonna completely shake up. Like think of the how many people, the decisions that Oklahoma City is gonna have to make. Like you're gonna have people come in. You Alex Caruso might be up in the draft for the expansion draft, and that's going to be like a key player that they can't really get rid of, and he's a big like part of their success, and he might be on that bridge of 7, 8 players where financially they just can't keep him on that roster. So I think the expansion draft alone is going to help kind of get a little more competitive balance, I think, because it's just going to have to restructure some of these teams and the way they go about winning.
well, even a Jared McCain, like, sticking with OKC, like,
Yeah, it's like it's
that's a
unbelievable.
I mean, Philly, swing and a miss. That's got it. And I love, messing with Coach Dean on, like, "Hey, this is what you let go." Now, Edgecombe has kind of
He's that guy.
prevailed and
He's
kinda
that guy.
saved them. Yeah, a little wink last night too, and
But you coulda kept him. Like,
yeah,
you
you
coulda
could've
still kept Jared
coulda had
McCain.
both of them. Coulda had
He just
but,
don't like TikTok dances.
yeah, I get it, I get it. But, no, it's interesting and where they're going, but again, going back to college basketball, it's just there's so many competitive players and, all these guys, we're gonna get to the point where you're gonna be like, "That guy's going undrafted?" Like, that's insane.
Shoot, I feel like you can still like, you've been able to do that a lot, like, 'cause it's getting to the point now, like, the past few years, like, Austin Reeves, for example, he could have been drafted mid-second round, but his agents are saying, "No, don't draft us. Do not draft us. We already know where we wanna go." And there's so many people, when it gets to the mid-second round, they're basically saying, "Hey, don't draft us because we wanna pick where we go."
And I can't lie, I've heard horror stories from, some other players about that when agents are like, "Don't take your draft pick.
And it
Go here."
backfires on them.
And then it's like, I no longer am guaranteed 5 years to play basketball. And you're like, "I hate you. Why did you tell me to do that?" Because now you're grinding in the G League, trying to figure it out. Now you're bouncing team to team because you didn't make the team because you thought what was isn't, and, that's a dangerous game, but I feel like we're at the point where it is as balanced and as competitive as it's been. I wouldn't say it's like the most talented draft classes that we'll see or whatever else, but there's just so much balance to it. And with the 2 extra teams, and maybe figuring out how you can expand the G League.
Gotta
Uh,
figure out some anti-tanking rules first. Like, you can't have somebody intentionally when you're literally winning the game, you intentionally foul to lose the game. Like, come on now. We can't do that in professional
well,
sports.
it
We gotta figure
backfired for
that.
the Jazz. The Kings
We gotta
got the
figure
first
that
pick.
out.
So,
Who knows? I mean,
yeah,
they could still somehow, some way, Oklahoma City, now that they have a pick in the lottery, they're gonna be a top 3 pick and just go ahead and throw everything away.
yeah, that would be disgusting. That would be ridiculous. But you never know. But it's just kind of reeling it back in, moving towards our awards. Okay, let's kind of talk about some coaches of the year awards. I think this is really, really interesting because when I looked at these and kind of heard about the awards, I was kind of like, huh? What? Because I feel like there are a lot of coaches up there too. Like we're in an era of, I feel like we're just, I think sports is moving in a direction. It's just a lot more competitive, a lot more people knowing their stuff, the access to information. It's not just what I learned from one guy anymore, but or girl. I learned this from this person and pulled this from that and that and that and that and that. And just the access to information is everywhere. It's crazy. And looking at our just kind of going through the coach of the year conversation. For the men's side, you had three different, three different publications picked three different coaches. So the Naismith Coach of the Year, and that's kind of the main one. Tommy Lloyd out of Arizona. Respect. They're the number 1 seed. Had a fantastic year. Won the Big 12 regular season. I believe they won the Big 12
Yeah,
uh,
they won the tournament.
tournament as
They,
well.
they
I
I mean,
mean,
they
just a
ran through
dominant year.
everybody.
Yeah, great team, fantastic job. I mean, stayed in the top 5 the whole year. Can't penalize them. But then Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska for AP Coach of the Year. Um, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
know, I like that because
I,
I mean, you look
yeah,
at what that guy was given. Like, if you look at NIL too, like, that guy he did a lot with a little.
yeah, and I mean the Big Ten really surprised a lot of people too. Look at a team like Iowa. I feel like
Ben
that could have
McCollum.
been you could have swung that way with that coach. But then you're I feel like if you're going to go Tommy Lloyd for Naismith, then you have a John Shire who is the number 1 overall seed, wins the ACC again. I mean, how does he not end up on that list? It's crazy to me. Or like a John Calipari doesn't sneak in there where, you have a really, really good year. You win the SEC, which everybody has said is the best conference right now, even though I think the Big Ten kind of made
Yeah,
that
Big
leap
Ten was
this
yeah,
year.
Big Ten
It
definitely
was
smacked them
deep,
around last year.
super, super deep. I don't know. I'm not huge for that award going to. I'm fine with like a most improved coach award or surprise coach or something along those lines. We were talking about coach of the year. I feel like it's got to be with some of these teams that are just a little bit more competitive.
They
Just
started
did it
off
all
20,
year.
25-0. Like, they did like Nebraska was, and they had like the least amount of NI. It was like basically them in Iowa. Like, I'm getting to like coach of the year when I look at it. Like, you can like Tommy Lloyd, Dusty May, those guys that top teams throughout the year went to the championship. Like, obviously they did something to be like a top coach of the year. But like, when I'm looking at it, I look at like coaches that were given a little amount and like over exceeded expectations by far. And like, you look at Fred Hoiberg and Iowa, like, was that Fred Hoiberg's first year at Nebraska too? It was 2 first-year coaches.
Yeah, I'm not.
And especially
I'm not
Iowa,
sure.
like, you go into the tournament and you beat Florida, you play you slow everybody down and play your style of game, and it doesn't matter. Like, you have Sturts on your team, and like, you're not really the most talented team on the court by far, but you're just getting to know these teams to death.
Yeah, and I mean, there's accreditation to that too, and I get what you're saying. For me, it's just kind of one of those things. Like again, you got a Michigan, you got a UConn, and I get there's a little fatigue there, but there's also going to be some sort of credit to just those teams dominating every single season. I get it; they have the name, the NIL, the money, whatever, but it takes a really good coach to win consistently, and I feel like that. I'm not huge on voter fatigue because my boy Lamar Jackson got into it a couple years ago, but it's a basketball podcast, so we won't go down that road. But I think voter fatigue is just it's lame. Like if you're the best, you're the best. If these guys are going to constantly be at the top of the tippity top every year, like you're talking about UConn, Michigan, Duke, the last 2 seasons being the tippity top, period, point blank. They just do it all the time. There's got to be some sort of credit for that. Dusty May wins the national championship and he won coach of the year, but it's not from one of the publications that really feel like that's your accreditation, not Naismith or the AP. And it's a little interesting to me, but I 100% get what you're saying and can respect that these coaches who do more with less. I can respect that because that's what coaching is, getting the best out of your teams. So I think it's just a good, healthy balance to, if there's a coach who's dominating, you got to tip your flowers. If there's coaches who are on the come up, you got to wait your turn sometimes too.
And Ben McCollum too. Like, you look at that guy. That guy has never lost.
What is
Never
it? 12,
lost.
11 D2 national championships?
The greatest to ever do it. And that's like they would play like a script or exhibition game against Duke every year. And Coach K is like, this guy, like, we weren't beating them the way you should beat teams in an exhibition. He's like, that's how you know this guy is this guy's going to be different when he gets that chance. And I know like there are so many teams after him. I think North Carolina was after him at one point, and this guy wanted to stay. And I know he's got local connections to that area, but I mean, Iowa might, if they're able to hold on to this guy, he's turning down teams like North Carolina, and like he seems like he's built for the
The second
Midwest.
best job in the country outside of the University of Kentucky. No offense, but it's
You putting
just
them over Duke?
yeah, I think so. I think so. As far as resources, fan base, all of that, I think it's just a bigger pool. Duke is 3. Duke's 100% 3, but I think Kentucky's 1, North Carolina's 2. Duke is 3, and I mean those are your true blue bloods. But it's if you're denying that job, you're either crazy
He's crazy, that's for sure.
or super confident in your ability. But I think also you look at him, that's completely opening up the coaching pool for all D2s, all D3s. Look at the guy who was at South Florida who's now at Providence, right? Like, none of us knew who he was until the
Dan
tournament
Hurley was
began.
coaching high school basketball. Shout out Smarto Samuels, highest ranked recruit in Louisville history. He was his high school basketball coach, the Hurley brothers.
Yeah, and I mean, no, but seriously, he went. I believe we were looking at a timeline, and I don't want to get super off track, but we're looking at his timeline. I think he was high school, then went to a prep academy, then went to Wagner, then went back to a prep academy, and then took the head coaching job at
Rhode
where
Island.
was his stop before? Yes, Rhode Island. Like they hired a prep academy coach at Rhode Island and the ASUN. That's a competitive, that's a good, really competitive conference. So, it just those guys are opening up more opportunities. And again, going back to South Florida coach, he was a JUCO coach, wasn't he? I believe at some point. Is that right?
I think so.
That's, shout out our JUCOs, but that's
You gotta be
bottom of the
built
barrel.
different. You gotta be
Yeah,
built different for
you do.
JUCO,
You do. And
especially as a coach.
he's now coaching in the Big East. So that's just it's fun to see these coaches growing from small beginnings and providing more opportunities. And then just kind of bouncing over to the women's basketball coach of the year. They did it a little bit differently. They all 3 publications, the AP, the Naismith, and the USBWA. And sorry, Dusty May, you won your championship. That's cool. Whatever. You were the USBWA winner. Okay, congratulations. You'll never hear this podcast, so it's fine. But no, for the
The
women's
shade
game,
towards Jay Lucas, unbelievable. Don't even mention his name as winning first year coach. See you, Jay Lucas.
He had a great year. He had a great year. But Coach Blake, they'll never hear it. So they don't need Dan, it is what it is.
You got your flowers. See you.
Yeah, there you go. You got your flowers from the most viewed podcast at Shoot 360.
That's a fact.
It is a fact. It is a fact. So no, just kind of moving over to the women's game. All 3 publications, Shea Ralph for Vanderbilt. I would be lying if I said I'm not super versed on how Vanderbilt has been as a women's program. I would say they haven't been super relevant, but this year they had a fantastic year. I believe a 4 or 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, maybe even a 3.
One of the best players. I remember her last name was Blake's. One of the best players in the country. She was, and they started. I'm pretty sure both of their teams, men's and women's, started off like 20-something and 0. Like they both got off to a really good start.
Really great year, and it's really fun to see. But again, they kind of went the route of like that unknown coach came out of nowhere. But then you've got Gino in another national championship. That's got to be like his 15th one, which is just insane.
I was going to say 45, but all right, we'll go for that.
Well, I think it was something crazy. Did you in that press conference after his he bumped
his meltdown
or whatever? It's just complete total mental breakdown. 25 Final Fours.
That's hilarious.
What are we doing? Oh my gosh! Like he could yell at anybody. He could yell at the Pope. Like it's like. He's that guy. It's unbelievable. But like a guy like him or even the coach at UCLA, have they been super prominent the last couple of years? No, but they're still a super competitive program. They go on, they lose 1 game all year. I would have liked to see maybe one of these publications hand out, a coach of the year to one of those people who lost one game, went undefeated until the Final Four. Like, for me, it just kind of, I understand you want to give people their flowers, but let's not forget about the people who have been doing it for a long time and have pretty much earned their dues. I'm pretty sure Gino has only won Coach of the Year 4 or 5 times,
Sounds about
uh,
right.
which is that's crazy to me though. Like, is that not nuts, or
I mean, when somebody makes 25 Final Fours, I'd say they should be a little more than
am I in the wrong
4-time
there?
Coach of the Year.
Okay, so eight of them, but still, I think it should be 20. Like, it's the guy just does it, and when you're really looking at the
I
women's
guess let's see.
game,
There would have been, I guess, old Muffet McGraw. There would have been a couple steals throughout there.
yeah, I'm sure, but when you look at the women's game, and I know people aren't huge on this, but Gino has, if not saved it, kept it alive, and if not kept it alive, gave it a pulse. Like, he has done so much for the game, and I get it. He's a hothead and tempers flare, and he's had some run-ins with some other really prominent coaches that a lot of people pick sides on. But you cannot deny what he's done. I don't even want. We've talked about the Kentucky and how many of them are in the league. I don't even want to know how many UConn women are in the league and what that percentage is. It's probably over 40%, and you just can't take away from what he's done. But fantastic years to a lot of really good programs, and congratulations to Vanderbilt's coach Shea Ralph. Just fantastic job and what they did this year at Vanderbilt.
For sure. But Coach Will, I think that's everything that we've got planned for today. You want to leave our members with a question before we head out?
Yeah, no, 100%. Just continue to challenge ourselves. We are moving closer and closer for our high schoolers. Believe it or not, we're getting back into open gyms and lifts here. Starting, all teams, or most likely will have already started. But if you're one of the later few, your lifting and open gyms are coming up. So we're moving on to next year. I know it's only been about 2 months, but let's start getting in that mindset. And our middle schoolers were heavy into AAU season, probably playing every weekend, running around like crazy. So I think for me, just our challenge is what's next? Asking yourself, what's next for me? We talked about, as the season ended, let's fill out a plan. Let's fill out what we want to grow on, what we want to get better. But just using a generalization of like, what's next? What's the vibe been these past 2 months? Okay, how am I progressing? Am I getting better at the pace I wanted to? Is it a little bit slower than I thought? I've talked with coaches a little bit more. Where do they think my role is? I think for us, constant reevaluation is super important in sports. So just what's next? What's next? What's the next thing I'm working on? What's the next thing I'm looking at? How am I getting better? What do I need to reevaluate? Was something unrealistic that I asked or wanted myself to do, or was it the other way? Was it not enough? Just a little reevaluation. What's next for us coming up while we're still in the off season of basketball, getting ready for the summer and school ball. It's going to be here before we know it. So
Yeah, let's finish off this school year with a bang. If we're playing some baseball, we're running track, let's win some championships real quick, get into that summer, and then let's get into the basketball season.
100%. Shout out to all of our baseball, track, our tennis players, anyone out there who's in season in a different sport. Finish strong. School year's almost over. For some schools, there's like 2 weeks left, which is just crazy. I can't even wrap my head around it, the fact that we're almost into May, but it's amazing. So Coach Blake, fantastic podcast today. Really appreciate you, and look forward to seeing you all next week.